Okay, I'd like to call the February meeting of the Richmond Parks and Recreation Board to order. Read the mission. Richmond Parks and Recreation Department provides for the positive development and well-being of the Richmond community through the provisions of parks, greenways, trails, recreational programming, and facilities while working in cooperation with other service providers and partners in the community to maximize all available resources. Special guests. Do we have special guests?
We have legal counsel with us tonight, so that's great.
That's a special guest.
It is. And we also have our consultants here from TSW and also MSKS.
Okay. Amend the agenda to item D.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to add item 11D under new business for the approval of the agreement 20-2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes from January 9th. Everybody read the minutes? Any comments or questions or concerns? Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Administration reports. Park Superintendent.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you all for being here. I'm going to keep my report to allow our consultants to share with you a wonderful design lookbook that we've been talking about for a little while, and I'm going to let them help present this. But I've been asking for a way that we can showcase to not only the board, but also the community, kind of what we've been designing, what we've been engineering, what we've been permitting for the gorge. And so this is really exciting to be able to share this with you. This kind of walks you through what all has been done so far in our design and engineering, as well as some of the bidding that we've been doing. And it also talks through some of the phased projects. It also talks through what's been funded, some of the allocations, and what we're hoping in the timeline that we're working towards. So a lot of information in this little book, but it's beautiful. And so I'll invite them to come up and share a little bit about it and walk you through. And then, just so you know, we also will have this digital on probably our website, and we'll be able to update this digitally. We already found just a couple things we want to update, and then we'll continue when we have any tweaks in terms of funding sources or conceptuals or renderings that we need to tweak, changes to bidding or changes to timelines. Those will be all updated in real time on our websites. So yeah, take it away. This is Maria. She's from TSW, and so I'll let her kind of showcase the design lookbook.
All right, everybody. So this is really our first big update that we've had since the Gorge Activation Plan. So we're so excited to share it with everybody. I'll give you just a really brief overview of what we're looking at here. So you're going to see the Gorge Park broken down into several different phases. So phase one is our test road trailhead improvements, which we all know is happening as we speak. Very, very exciting. And if you turn the page, it'll give you, for each project, a general overview of what's included in each project, as well as the funding agencies that were involved in the project, the phase, the total amount, and then the schedule for the project. You also see some eye candy, some different graphics that we've included to show you what it's going to look like in the park. Turning the page, you'll see a big old spread that's going to show you what each of the general projects is going to look like. So this is going to be our phase 1B, our canoe and kayak launch. Phase 2, I'm sorry, which is the Weir Dam Trailhead. And these are completely new graphics that we just completed actually just a couple of days ago. So you guys are getting a first big look at that. Phase 3 So this is a little bit more of a broad category. This is our 60% design, engineering, and preliminary permitting, and this is for the Stargenet area. And when we're talking about that area, we're talking about the amphitheater, the performance lawn, the boardwalk system that's in that area. You'll see a little plaza that's going to stretch between the Stargenet area and the performance area, and then our playground and bouldering garden. And all of that really helps us just set the stage for future phases that you're going to see in this booklet. Phase 4 is our boardwalk and riparian improvements. Phase 5 is going to be our nature playground and bouldering garden. Phase 6 is wayfinding signage. Phase 7 is the aerial adventure hub. Phase 8 is going to be our amphitheater. Phase 9 is our tree houses. And again, all of this is just to provide you some general information on what we're looking at project-wise here. So I know this is a lot of information to take in, but feel free to browse it. If there are any questions, happy to take them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In phase, the Weir Dam trailhead, there's no parking area or pull-off area, is there, or am I not seeing that?
There is actually. If you look on, it's going to be page 13. You can see there's a parking lot area provided for the trailhead. At the bottom right.
Okay,
You can see how the bridge covers it a little bit there.
right.
And that's where current parking also exists.
That's correct. Yeah, there's that gravel area. Yeah.
Okay, because it's not in here. Also, the funding agencies, it says flexible, $913,000. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we're just trying to figure out how we're gonna fund that and where that's going to kind of align. So that's still kind of in the air. So
Okay.
when it says flexible, we have to kind of see where other things fall, and then we'll come back and update that.
Okay, great,
Mhm.
thanks.
Yeah, so do you see the parking there on
Yeah, I
page
do.
13?
It's
Okay,
just not in this one.
one picture you were looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Photo.
Yeah, the front picture that we're looking at, we're actually looking from the perspective of the river. So it's
I just want to make sure we're not loading and unloading
Yeah.
kayaks and
Oh.
semis.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Where's the boardwalk riparian?
Yeah, so you can see a
So that's,
little
is that in the
in the Stargenet area.
Stargenet?
Yes, that's correct.
We would call that the central district.
Oh, cool.
Uh-huh, so right where you see the Star Piano building,
Yeah.
and then you know where the current smokestack
Yes.
is now. If you can envision walking directly across from that smokestack and down into the riverway, you'll be able to walk on a river walk,
Oh,
out into the river,
wow.
as you can see on the big screen.
The smokestack is staying, right?
Of course.
It's iconic.
It is iconic. There it is.
Yeah, and as you see right up there, I'll draw your attention to page 15, and you know, one of the things that we heard a lot, and I'll kind of pick on John Weber, who's here. One of the things we heard a lot is that there's not enough room to bike while on the Walk of Fame, and so we took that into account in this design, and we actually designed another trail, so that we can make sure that we can accommodate our friends in the biking group. So we have a brand new trail that we'd like to design right past that amphitheater, and that we'll go kind of right by the Riverwalk there, and behind the amphitheater. So if you can see it a little bit better there,
Oh, yeah.
on page. Yeah, I guess that would be page 16, where the Walk of Fame would stay the Walk of Fame, the amphitheater would be behind it, and then you would be out on the river walk, out on the river, and enjoying a a nice, fun concert, but then you can still have bikers also enjoying their time as well. What do you think?
That's why I'm here, let's go.
And I didn't even invite him.
I was here to advocate for something that I guess I don't need to advocate for.
That's right, buddy.
Very good. Cool.
What phase was that though?
This is actually phase 3, and so we can tell you who else you need to advocate for.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And so speaking of the phases, I'm looking here and trying to make sure I think I'm correct. Even though the phases are numbered and in order, it doesn't necessarily indicate that one phase happens in its entirety before another phase, correct?
Correct.
So these are a little fluid, just for
Uh-huh.
the clarification of the public.
And also, it's good that you brought that up, because obviously, you know, the reason for this lookbook is to get people excited, 1, 2, to be able to share with donors and grantors alike. And then also, you know, there might be some changes in, you know, in terms of permitting. Obviously, we think there's not gonna be a problem with that Riverwalk to go right over the gorge and right over that area, but IDEM might think something different, right? DNR might think something different. You know, I've learned a lot about permitting in the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year. So I will say that what you think might be just fine can turn out to be that it needs additional work or tweaking in the design. And so this could look a little different, but you know, what we really try to do and what they try to do in the design team is not to really circumvent the process, but also try to keep the design that we've worked towards as best as possible and work it within the parameters of the permitting, if that makes sense. And so we've got a great team and the engineering partners with BF&S. They try really hard to work with our design team and get us what we want. But sometimes we just can't, you know, work around some things. So we do the best we can.
I do have one question, and I see there, as Dakota was saying, there is phases that intertwine, that is, they're going on at the same time. How often will we be updated as the board on activities in progress?
Well, I think that that's a good question because, you know, our hope is to continue to have more funding coming in, you know, and right now, what we've contracted, obviously with TSW, is to continue the design up to 60%. We've got great partners with Revitalize Richmond, with the county, and you see all these partners with Lily Gift Date, and all these people who believe in this project. And so you see all these people in here, but you know, it's going to take a little bit more, you know, to get some of these things done.
Sure.
And so, especially the amphitheater here, this is one of the big things that's not funded yet. And so I think it really is a good picture to say, hey, this completes a lot of what we're doing right now. And so the lookbook really showcases that. When this is in the digital form, we can continue to update that, and the community can kind of go on and say, oh, what's the updates now? And when we continue to update that with the consultants, I think that will be helpful.
Phase 1 does look, according to this, to be fully funded. Is that a fact?
Yes, and we will be discussing that in new business
Okay.
for the bid consideration.
Okay.
Yes.
Also, does this change the plans for or the usage of the Star Jeanette building?
Not at all. In fact, it will enhance it,
Okay.
for sure.
I don't really know what to call it at the moment, but the little outdoor area right next to the building looks
Phenomenal, right?
really incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Something
just,
greatly needed that will enhance the optimization of that space.
right. So thank you for saying that. I think that was the one thing that we just I don't know if you want to share those yet or not. Are we going to share those later? It's up to you.
Well, it
Okay.
might be hard for
You
the
want me to?
public to see it up there, but it's designed to look like a Jeanette record,
Yeah.
which is very, very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was one of the pieces I was just like, wait a minute, what is this?
Yeah.
I mean, I was just so excited. And then this area here, yeah, thank you. So this area right here will be something that really highlights what the Walk of Fame is. We talked a lot about the fact that people come from several places, near and far, and you know, they see all these 29 medallions and they don't really understand what they are sometimes. Some people do though. Some people come and they know exactly what they are and what they're there for. But there are other people that go, what are these? Now, when they were in the ground, they didn't know where they were. But now people can see them from afar because they're elevated, and then they say, well, what is this and why is this here? And so this little area here, you can see their signage and infographics. So people can stop there and they can read about what is the Walk of Fame, why is it there, what is necessary. We'd like to do a little kind of memoriam for Dave Fulton, who really was an avid component of why we have the Walk of Fame. So the 29 medallions are something that we really want to highlight. And then there'll be some additional areas in front of this area here in front of the amphitheater that we really want to highlight. And I can probably find a little bit more of a area that showcases that we really want to highlight on these areas, these panels, some of the history of where kind of the gorge has been. And so that's the idea of those panels there as well, in front of the amphitheater. So that's a highlight, yeah.
So with is the amphitheater where the recording studio was?
No, the recording studio is way back here.
Jeff Foley or Jeff Foley.
It's farther
Okay.
south, right?
Tell Jeff we said
Part of our show?
yeah. So this area here, let me get back to it. The area where the recording studio is actually on down, way over here, past the Walk of Fame. So it won't be touched. In fact, we'd like to give a little bit more signage to it. At some point down the road, our goal is to have some VR, some virtual reality, augmented reality opportunities, so that when people come down here, that they can really see what used to be and have those kinds of educational opportunities, so that they can still have and know a piece of the history.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so the recording studio area should be,
Okay, great.
the wall should still stay there. That's the goal.
Great.
Any other questions?
Yeah, on the projects listed for 2025, we've
What
got,
page are you on?
well, whatever, all the projects. All the projects that are listed to be completed by 2025.
So the only project that would be
Beginning.
listed is the Test Road Trailhead Canoe and Kayak Launch, and that's just the test road area,
Okay, all right,
and the trailhead at the Weir Dam.
okay.
So what you see here, when it says to be, like on page 16, is the design and engineering pre-permitting. So it's just telling you that the 60% of design and engineering will be completed.
Okay.
So we'll update that as anything changes on the project.
Well, where we have people listed for the amounts that.
That'll be updated
that are
too.
there. So those funds aren't available yet, is that correct?
On funding agencies that are listed, those are
Already
secured.
You're all secured, okay.
Correct. If it says flexible, that means that we're waiting to see how much it comes in at for budgetary,
Gotcha.
you know, for bidding, and then we'll figure out how we're gonna kind of flex that out.
Okay. Any other questions?
Booklet is impressive.
Yes, it's very
Very
exciting.
nice.
Thank you.
Well, we're happy to be working on it. It's very exciting to happen, so.
Some of us need to catch up.
Great job, Maria.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job, gorgeous team.
Jim, have anything?
Jim is out ill today, and I can answer anything that he had on his report.
Any questions for Jim? Okay, division reports. Financials.
Did anybody have any questions on the financials?
Golf division.
Anything for me?
Okay, moving right along. The, Becky, do you have anything you want to tell us?
Uh-oh, yeah.
She's got stuff.
Sorry.
Becky's always got exciting stuff.
Fun stuff.
Get excited. Let me give you this, just so you know some of the things we're doing. This is our Couch to 5K. I'm going to talk about which are those. And then I thought you might want some of these. This is our blueprint for health, and these are the topics we have through August, because it's kind of big. And this is also what our next topic is, and you're welcome to come. It's a plant-based.
Is this,
Yeah, there's one for everybody if they want it. Yeah. There's more than one, I think they're just backwards. So,
You can move that if you need to.
this thing, yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna knock it over, I swear. I'll talk you to death first. The Couch to 5K we're very excited about because we've already got people signing up for it. We've got a t-shirt design that is really fun. And if you kind of look at it when you get your leisure, you're going to notice that there's not normal minutes. It's not like it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to practice, because we all have a history with those. Somebody says, I'll be with you in 5 minutes, 2 hours later they show up. But nobody has a history with 9 minutes or 11 minutes or 16 or 21. So it sets people up to be successful, because if you do 9 minutes, you go, might as well do 10. Now you've overachieved. We did 12 weeks because that maps a habit, and everybody's talked about wanting to get in the habit of walking. So even though most people will have achieved their 5K way before the 12 weeks, we wanted to develop a habit. So now it will be a habit for them. And we're already getting people signed up, and it's very, very exciting. And we're doing it after we close the center, so we don't take away from any of our activities there. We're meeting at 4. The first 3 times are at the center in the area neighborhood there. The next 3 times are at Elstro Park, so we can all review the downtown. After that, we'll be out at Glen Miller Park, and those that can do the golf course will do that, and those that can't will walk around the lake, and we have an alternative for those minutes. And the last 3 times we'll be down on the trail, so we can see what's happening, because I hear they're going to be digging, so we like mud. It'll be fun. So that's that. Our plant-based pitch-in has been phenomenal, so I would invite all of you to come to that. It really was good, and you didn't miss the meat. I'm a meat eater, I'll just say, but I did not miss the meat, and it tasted great. And there was one fruit dish, we all swore there was sugar in it, and there wasn't. I mean, she laid it out, it's like, oh my gosh, it was like eating spoonfuls. It was fabulous. We have a new thing coming up called Get Moving Monday. Starts in March, and we're going to go from noon to 1, and we have a new teacher coming in to do a low-impact class, because we're trying to get people that maybe are still working in their 60s, but they get a lunch hour. So it's something they can still wear whatever they're wearing to work in, and not too sweaty, but still come and become involved. I'm working with Reed and one of our other teachers, Karen, to create a program. It's called Monday Mashup. It will focus, starts in, I think we'll do April or May, but it's 3 6-week sessions, and we're looking at comorbidities in people. So blood pressure's the first one, and you'll have both nutrition, education and movements. And the movements are things you can do when you're shopping, walking, going somewhere, standing in line. So it'll transfer to your day-to-day living. We'll do one on heart health and then we'll do one on weight, but not like weight loss, more like how do you feel when you get up in the morning? Do you have to search through your closet to find something that buttons? So more of a comfort level awareness of who you are and where you're going. So I'm excited, stay tuned for that. There is a typo, but not on purpose, in my notes. I said we only had 16 members in January, but we had 17 new members. And then we had 48 renewals. So we had, instead of the 45, we got 48. We've already got new members this month. It's like cool, the word's getting out. Chair massage. We have a new member that came one day named Candy, and she stopped me and said, well, what's the best thing to do here? I said, Tai Chi. So we did Tai Chi the next day. She came out of there and she says, I got to meet with you. And I was kind of worried. I was like, oh. And she said, I would like to donate as much of my skills as possible to bring chair massage here once a week for $5 for people. It is full. We're full like the whole rest of the month here. People are just lining up for it. So that's been kind of a cool thing. Insurance. Thank goodness for Brian Benedict and Terry Ham. We have people that are still not insured. And they didn't understand the changes that were happening. And they're just now coming around understanding they only have till March to get. So these two are just phenomenal helping everybody negotiate that. So I'm really glad they've been down there. Our conversation class has grown. Not this week, but 2 weeks prior, I thought I felt something different in the building when I was locking up. And I was like, okay, what is different down here? I went down, they were all still in the room. 2 hours later, they're still chatting. I was like, you guys, you don't even have the lights on. They're like, we didn't notice. So it's growing, and that's a really good thing too. Let's see, we designed, wait till you see our t-shirt that I have a artist designing for us for the 5K. It's very cool. What else? The Master Gardeners, again, they're coming in, they're doing lots of stuff. They started repotting our plants, and they do the plant-empowered pitch-in with Gail, our life coach. And again, I invite you to come to that. You don't need to bring anything except your appetite. It is phenomenal. So I could go on for days, so I won't. So do you have any questions or anything?
Well, yesterday I was stopped in and got a copy of your February schedule, your calendar.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot.
But it's pretty impressive.
Well,
I'd invite everybody to get a copy of that. It really details what's going on, and it's worth taking a peek at.
We have a lot, and I like it, and it's, everybody who comes in is like, well, I heard about this, and then they try something new. Our Tai Chi class has now grown to 25 people, just from the new people coming in, like, that isn't what I thought. And I'm like, I know, I waited a year and a half to try it, and now I'm hooked, so. We will get e-bikes, I'm still working on that, I got all the votes, I'm working on that, so that'll be fun, and I'll tell you about that next week. So, thank you. If you don't have anything else, then
Any other questions?
no.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We share your excitement.
Well, it's genuine, I will tell you, I like it down there.
Farmers report or community director?
I can answer any questions you had. Christy is actually attending a camp summit today in Indianapolis to get ready for JUCO. So, yeah, I can answer any questions you might have.
Comments or questions? No. Board concerns and comments? Delegation correspondence, golf committee report.
So,
Subcommittee, excuse me.
yeah. As the board will remember, in December, we established a golf subcommittee, and we appointed Mike and myself to that, primarily to review the golf department and the general increases in expenses, the decreases in revenue, and how to overall transition to a more efficient golf division. And so we've met a couple times now, and throughout our meetings, a plan was created to review the job descriptions in relation to a couple of our key staff members at Highland Lake Golf Course. And Mike and I asked specifically that certain action be taken, including a task list, an action plan to document everything that needs to be done prior to opening with dates and timelines. And I think Mike, you mentioned that as well during our last meeting. Prioritization of the needs in the areas of maintenance and the clubhouse, and to keep track of the completion of what's outstanding. We also asked that the Parks Administration meet with the city's Human Resource Department to review some other potential job descriptions and a potential restructuring of the golf division. So what we have come to through a lot of analysis and conversation is what will culminate in, I believe, Resolution 3/2025 that Mike will talk a little bit about once we get there. But effectively what this will do is take the two of the top positions at Highland Lake Golf Course and combine some of the responsibilities and create two slightly different positions. Mike can get into more of that a little bit later, but we think this transition to a new staffing structure will provide a lot more efficiency within the department, some cost savings potentially, and allow just a more streamlined and efficient division. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Did I miss anything? What questions do you have?
Well, the resolution kind of details what that plan is, or at least the restructuring plan.
Right.
Do you have official minutes of your meeting?
No, since it's not a public meeting, we don't keep
Okay.
minutes or publish them. These report outs are basically the information.
I'm obviously interested in what that entails.
Sure.
So I look forward to your continuing reports.
Yeah. I think I can speak on your behalf too, Mike, to say that we're excited about this new direction for the golf division. I think that the moves that we're making and the continued oversight by the subcommittee over the next year, including review of all of the changes that we're implementing in a year, will be really beneficial for everybody.
I would agree. It gives us a plan and a method for, as Dakota says, to follow up what's going on, make sure we're in schedule, we're not getting any surprises as well as we can. I know you're always going to get a surprise of some variety, but this kind of keeps us involved with what's going on. We think we've got a better plan to monitor the progress of the club and to make sure everything's done and also provide the best service we can for the public. So I think it's a pretty thorough plan. So.
And a lot of appreciation goes to Denise and Wes and Emma for providing a lot of information and feedback and compiling a lot of the plan as well. So we say what we anticipated and expected, but they were the ones that did all the work.
Yeah.
So
And did it well.
Yes.
It's presented so that we can understand it, being some golfers. But we can understand it, and I think we're very comfortable with what we're doing.
agreed.
And it'll be kind of a in progress type of a
Sure.
plan that we can follow throughout the course of the year. Okay, any questions? Old business, contract 11/2025 to Wallace Heating and Air, not to exceed $10,000.
That I have. Jim was supposed to do that. He had to get sick. I wasn't at the meeting where they got approved, but I understand there was questions about how they presented their, Wallace's
Annual contract.
annual, their billing, how they had presented at 150 after the first half hour. And then for their overtime, they had presented at 225 after hours. Is that?
Do you remember how?
There was
were
we
for
thought
like
it was probably a
$1.50?
typo.
Yeah, we thought it was a typo because it said $1.50.
Yeah.
Well, Jim reached out and it wasn't quite a typo, but they left some out. It's $1.50 per minute, after the first half hour. and $2.25 per minute after, for overtime, which sounds strange, but after doing the math, $1.50 per minute, turns out to be $90 an hour. 225 is 135, so they still come in as the lowest
Good,
charge. So
good, that helps.
they still would be where I feel like we would have landed anyway, but it does make, I feel like everybody feels more comfortable with that clarification.
Yes.
They just word it really weird on there. I don't know why they wouldn't just put the whole hourly, because it confuses people and it makes it seem like it's a lot more than it
Yeah.
really is.
They
But,
charge by the minute.
yeah,
Taxi.
Sometimes it's, it's delineated as, so much per hour or partial thereof, so you get a whole $90 if you work 30 minutes.
yeah.
This way it's
And I guess
cut
it does
at
make
the
it easier.
exact minute, and it's 90, or it's 50% in addition for overtime, which is standard practice.
But, yeah, Jim did clarify that, so, we just wanted to present that. And I'm assuming that it was gonna be brought to read.
Yes, we're approving it. I was trying to find the rest of the contract bids for that day, but I don't think we put them in our notes. They might have been in the minutes. But you'll remember that they, along with everyone, the others, theirs was in on time.
I have, do you want me to go over them? I have.
Oh, you have them right now?
Yeah, I just have the overview of them. The only one, we had Bader Mechanical, we got no response from. North Mechanical, their hourly was 120, their overtime was 160 with a 30% markup. Wallace was the $100, including the first half hour, and then after that was $1.50 per minute. After the first half hour, their overtime was 150, and then after that was the 225 per minute after hours, $200, and then $3 a minute for holiday, and no markup. Dungan Plumbing and Heating, no response. So we had gone with Wallace before the clarification, and then after the clarification, they still come in as the lowest.
Okay.
Thank you. Right.
I know that was a quick rundown, but I don't have all of the details, I just have my little spreadsheet with me.
Any other questions about the contract? I would entertain a motion for approval of contract 11/2025 to Wallace Heating and Air, not to exceed $10,000.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks, Ed.
New business. Resolution 3, 2025, approval of Highland Lake Golf Course restructuring plan. I think Dakota has pretty well identified what the plan is all about, and this is just, there's no funding for this subcommittee or anything like that. The plan will identify costs as they arise, and will allow us, as I said, to keep track of the projects we're working on, keep track of the progress of the equipment, and taking care of the maintenance of the equipment, any upcoming projects that are necessary for the golf course, and that it's a plan that, as I said, will be an ongoing operational plan for us to follow. So, any questions?
This also changes the actual job descriptions. Just want to highlight that this changes the job descriptions from golf division director to golf operations director, and also from golf superintendent to then golf greenskeeper. So just want to highlight the changes of the job descriptions through this resolution that you're approving, and then Bill will see me at council because we'll do a salary amendment salary ordinance amendment after this is approved.
Any other questions?
I think it's pretty straightforward from what you've already done.
Entertain approval for resolution 3/2025 for the Highland Lake restructuring plan.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Addendum number 1 of contract 197-2023 to Countryside Auto for vehicle collusion repair for the city of Richmond.
This is our typical annual contract for collision repair. This is something that we do with the rest of the departments. We come together and do an annual request for collision repair. So this is an addendum to that contract, which was contract 197-2023, and this will be for the calendar year 2025.
And this is contract for the entire city, is that correct?
That is correct.
I have one question, technical one. The signee
Yes.
is Tiana.
Yes, and so I would approve this, if that's okay with legal counsel, as changing the signatory.
Who was this signed for now?
It's signed as Tiana Washington.
Yeah, that's
Can you just cross that, we can
Yeah,
cross
that's
that out and we can approve that in that regard?
not worried about that.
Okay.
And then you can, Mike would sign it.
Yes.
I'm assuming.
Okay, entertain a motion for approval of the addendum, contract number 197-2023 to Countryside Auto for vehicle collusion repair for the city of Richmond.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, bid consideration for Whitewater Gorge Test Road Trailhead Project.
So we have Katie Clark here from MKSK, and she's here, did I say that right? I can't get
You did?
used to saying it, I'm sorry.
You don't have to say
I'm
that.
trying.
It's okay.
I'm trying so hard. But Katie's here, and so is legal counsel for any questions. She's gonna walk you through some bid considerations for the bids that we reviewed in January for the test road trailhead. And I'll bring this up just so we can kind of see, the visual, which is exciting. What should I skip first?
Denise's Van White moment.
There we go.
Anything else?
Nope, go for it.
Kind of as a quick segue to go back to 2 points that were made earlier when Maria showed off the lookbook. And first of all, Maria had the much prettier report to share with you. Mine was a little bit boring, but just as exciting. Dakota, you mentioned kind of the phasing of different projects. Certainly, as we've seen kind of this bid come in, we are actively kind of thinking about ways to bundle and kind of rephase things. So we could see kind of a bigger launch just to provide some cost efficiencies moving forward, make things a little bit more enticing and hopefully get things going at a quicker pace. And to the point about kind of more regular board updates or even updates to the public, I think this kind of point where we are is a great opportunity to kind of increase that information sharing because things will physically be happening, hopefully, out on site, which everybody will want to know about. So we've been in a little bit of kind of behind the scenes work, but now we're quickly progressing into things that people will be asking questions about. So having a more regular schedule to kind of what those updates look like, it's a good time. So all that is kind of the precursor to what I would like to review. Everybody has a copy of our bid review. So if you remember back in December, before the end of the year, we actually did the bid opening at your meeting. At that time, there were 3 bidders that submitted information. So we had Door Construction, R.L. Turner Corporation, and Morphe. Basically, over the last couple of months, we appreciate kind of the patience that you had, giving us the time to really look into everything and review the numbers and all of the forms that were provided. And what we have provided you and what I'll quickly go through is really kind of our analysis and what our recommendation would be to move forward. So those 3 bids came in at kind of 3 different price points, ranging from 1.4 some change all the way to kind of roughly just a little bit over 2 million. And that's in total. So we bid the project in kind of 3 parts. We had a larger base bid, which was really kind of the parking lot and a lot of the sidewalk connectivity. The secondary piece, which we called an alternate, but we had to separate it just by the nature of our funding sources, is really everything related to the kayak launch and that kind of serpentine sidewalk that leads up to the parking lot itself. And then we have the picnic shelter, just to kind of provide a little bit of flexibility in budgets of what we could maybe tolerate. We wanted to have a little bit of option. So all in all, those numbers I quoted, kind of that 1.4 all the way to 2 million, is for all 3 of those items together. There's a table that shows you kind of base bid versus each one of the alternates. So we've looked at it all different ways, from all different kind of components to the full amount. So I'll quickly go through kind of our process and what it entailed. We generally do a lot of review, from everything, looking at kind of, did everyone follow the process? Did they email us the way we asked? Did they fill out all their forms correctly? And we found a couple noteworthy things that are included. Overall, it's good to know the unit pricing. So we asked for numbers from the contractors in 2 different ways. We asked for kind of lump sum amounts, which is how the projects would be awarded. But to create a point for documenting and kind of pricing any change orders, we asked for that information in unit form. So I think on page 5 in your packet is the full list of all the unit prices and quantities that they submitted. And looking at those, we feel they're all pretty consistent. There's obviously some leeway, but that's largely coming from likely the places these contractors are coming for. Thor is obviously local, the other 2 are coming from the Indianapolis area. That's just driving up a little bit of their mobilization costs. So otherwise, we felt they were all pretty consistent, well within kind of the range. Nobody seemed to kind of price things totally skewed from one another. So then we get into kind of looking deeper into the forms and the information that's provided. This is where we uncovered a few things just for note. So if we look at kind of accuracy, we like to make sure everything's the same in all the boxes that it's supposed to be in. We did note a few kind of discrepancies in how a couple of items were noted on a couple different forms in Thor Construction's packet. That kind of transferred over into the way they kind of labeled their bid summary information and left one part blank. For our purposes, we don't love to see that. It certainly can be just a quick error, an omission, if somebody forgot to fill something in. But we like to just see everything completed and consistent because it makes sure everybody's on the same page from day one. The bigger item that we noted was in terms of completeness, in terms of the bid package, and the way that all the forms were filled out. So you'll see on page, what is this, 4, I think? There were quite a few line items missing from the unit price form in Thor Construction's bid. Coincidentally, there were some of the larger unit costs if you look at kind of the summary that's included. We did follow up to make sure that it wasn't just a page that was lost or something was purposely left out. We were able to confirm that kind of those costs were absorbed in the overall number that was provided. And so we've documented all that. But outside of that, everybody else's kind of information, everything was accurate and everything was filled out. So that brings us to kind of the recommendation piece. So generally, it's the typical is kind of the lowest, most responsive bidder. That's kind of the easy way to look at it and move forward. However, in our project manual, we did include, which is part of kind of the normal standard contracting form, that the owner kind of reserves that right to review and then reject any or all bids. And that can be for non-conforming, non-responsive, kind of unconditional, just different questions around kind of the bidding process and the information submitted. So as I said, that's included in our project manual. We listed kind of the page where that comes from. So it was clearly identified. It's standard and probably generally all the work that we do. So as we looked at the information and kind of what questions were presented, which areas we felt were kind of inaccurate or left kind of potential gaps that would create kind of gray areas as we move forward. We got to the point of providing a recommendation that you see in the form, in kind of the summary, which is from our point of view, we would recommend that you reject kind of that lowest bidder before construction because of the inaccuracies and the kind of incomplete nature that things were presented and submitted for review. And instead, we would recommend that you look to kind of that second apparent bidder, which is R.L. Turner. And then we would recommend that you go ahead and award all three efforts. So the base bid and both alternates. So it would be a total contract to R.L. Turner for the $1.974, $195.45. I did not list that number, I did not say that eloquently, but it is in the document. We feel that they are going to be a really great partner for you. They're going to be really confident out on site. We've known and seen their work before and feel that it's kind of the best recommendation for this project moving forward. We're comfortable with kind of the amounts that they've presented, but kind of our third recommendation, we've offered a few kind of options that we can continue to work through with them to see if there's any kind of buffer we can build into that price, just so we don't have to come back and ask for additional funds. But at this point, we'd like to recommend kind of move forward with awarding that project. It is any day now ready to go, so to be able to lock them in and get them going would be a very exciting time. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know I glossed over a lot of information. And, so please let me know if you have questions, concerns.
$500,000 is a lot of money. The difference between those two bids, the lowest bid and the other. So you must have seriously had concerns about Thor's bid enough to circumvent $500,000.
Yes, you were right. Generally, the difference between an apparent low bidder and even the next one, even if it was $100,000, it's a big ask to say, you know, let's move forward with something that's a little bit more expensive. Generally, across, I would say, all of our kind of projects, and it wasn't just kind of Maria, Isaac, and I reviewing it. We work with Butler Fairland Seifert that has done a lot of this work as well. Generally, when we see things omitted specifically in the unit price form, it's kind of creating an opening for them to easily ask for more money moving forward. And that's all, that was kind of our initial question of just, we wanted to make sure that gap was closed. Everybody was very tight and understood exactly what they were being asked to do. We answered a lot of questions during the bidding process to make sure that everyone was clear. And then we still kind of saw those empty points. So that was really one of our main considerations. We wanted to make sure that there wasn't that easy opportunity. So our fear certainly would be that
They would be closer than half.
they could be closer or even over, with just,
Gotcha.
and that happens all the time. Contractors will always uncover something new or find something that they didn't expect, and that's to be expected to some extent. But we just like to make sure any gap we can close is closed before we get out and start undigging.
The other two bids are very close.
They are.
So there's credibility in that by itself.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Have you worked with R.L. Turner before?
Personally, I have not. However, the company I'm at now has an ongoing project with them. They provided some great information in their bid packet in regards to their qualifications that we can certainly share. Both R.L. Turner and Morphe are known amongst our team to provide great work. That's not to say that Thor doesn't. They were just kind of more known in our area, which is expected. They're from the Indianapolis community. But they do really good quality work. So.
Mr. President, do you know, I'm just getting this for the first time.
Sure.
What's budgeted for this project? Is it the engineer's estimate?
So, yes and no. So when 2 years ago, when we applied for the Land and Water Conservation Grant, we sent forward an estimate that was right at $1 million, which is what Land and Water asked you to do. That's kind of a 50-50 match, so we started there at $1 million. We then added some work to it to add the kayak launch, just because it made more sense to put those two together. So the budget grew to kind of where the engineer's estimate stood. And I'm gonna have to remind myself of where we ended up being.
And if I'm doing that,
I know, I'm doing that now. I'm not good at
Math.
fast math. So you might.
I'm not good at math, period.
Yes. We were just over, I would say, we were maybe like 1.2, 1.3. And I think our design team owns a little bit of responsibility in kind of underestimating, I think, some costs that we're seeing reflected in kind of the summary. As everybody knows, the construction market is a little wacky at the moment, and it's been very hard for project to project, even in the same community, to accurately reflect what they're going to present. So our estimate is certainly not 100% in alignment with kind of where the bids fell, and we apologize for that. That's why, to the point I made earlier, we're actively kind of course correcting and looking at ways to bundle things and make things a little bit more efficient. But yeah, so I think we were right around 1.3, and now in total we're at 1.9 for a project that was originally budgeted 2 years ago. That has grown it as well. So hopefully that answered your question.
It does, thank you.
Any other questions?
Forklift, is this phase 1A and 1B that we're talking about, Beta?
Yeah. This is phase 1A and 1B.
Okay, because that comes out to 2.258.5.
Yep.
So we're under
And
bid.
that-
I mean,
yeah.
we bid under that number.
And those numbers in the lookbook include the design fees that you've already
Okay.
paid, so that
Okay.
all-in number accounts for
Okay,
that 1.9 bid plus the design. So
gotcha.
the lookbook is reflective of what we fully anticipated.
Yeah, that clarifies things for me significantly.
Any other questions, comments?
Are we able to take action on the recommendations tonight?
You are, if the board chooses to take action this evening, the statute requires, if the board does not accept the lowest responsive bid, either because that low bid is either not responsible or responsive, and I don't think the suggestion is tonight that it's not responsible. If it's not responsive as a result of not providing those unit prices that were discussed just a few moments ago, then the motion should incorporate that reasoning if the non-lowest bidder, i.e. R.L. Turner, is selected tonight, because the law requires that rationale be incorporated into the minutes.
So based on the recommendations, the first action would be to reject the bid. Is that the case or not?
Your motion, if it is to contemplate not accepting the lowest bid, would be to move to accept the next lowest bidder as a result of the lowest bidder not being responsive for not complying with the bid instructions that were sent to all bidders. So I don't think you need to formally reject a bid. You would if you were rejecting all bidders. Your motion is just providing the rationale for why the motion is being made for that next lowest bidder.
Okay. Okay, any other questions, comments?
I will just say that I've always been a person that has greatly valued engaging with local contractors, but when we have close contractors that are more responsive to our needs, I think it's our obligation to go with those people. And so I'm supportive of the recommendations from the consultant.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the bid from R.L. Turner with the understanding that while they are the second lowest bidder, there is concern with the fact that the lowest bidder did not define and identify certain parts of the bid that were not included in his bid, and we feel that we'd be more consistent with what the actual production was with the bid from R.L. Turner.
You good?
Is that okay?
So moved.
Don't ask me to repeat that.
I second that, I'm just glad it wasn't me that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Approval of agreement 2025 to Highway 38 dumpster and restrooms and not to exceed $10,000.
Thank you, AJ. This is our annual contract for Porta Johns, fun contract, but it is definitely something that we have to have, especially when we have events or when we do I have to close a restroom for the winter. Right now we have them at the dog park. Just the restrooms are closed, things like that. We also have this at Mary Scott because there isn't a restroom there, but we do have a playground. Same thing with Springwood. We have to have a porta-john there because we have a playground and a restroom. So these things are very important to the public, and we want them to utilize our parks as much as possible, be there with their families. So these services are important to us. We did have this particular company, Highway 38 dumpsters and restrooms, as our vendor last year. They provided a great service for us, even on the times when we had a lot of vandalism, a lot of concerns with our dumpster, or with our restrooms. And so we do appreciate their work with us. And so we are requesting to utilize them for this year as well in 2025.
Any comments, questions?
I noticed something in the contract about investments in Iran.
This is
Boilerplate?
correct.
Okay.
This is a standard boilerplate contract you'll see in every contract that we do with the city.
Okay.
Thanks for pointing that out and asking.
Any other questions, comments? Entertain a motion for approval of agreement 2025 to Highway 38 dumpster and restrooms not to exceed $10,000.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any other business as needed? Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.